What up, everybody? Glad to be back and welcome 505 interview series coming to you live from the 505 Summer Lounge, aka the Winter is Almost Here Lounge. Whoa, cold, windy day today, but glad to see everybody in and welcome. And welcome to all of you. I had a great time in Dallas, a lot of fun, and thank you to the Dallas family and the Dallas crew out there. They went all out, and lots of love and hospitality from everybody. And hope y'all got to make it down to Dallas and get involved with some of the Dallas Smoke Fest events. I had a great time. But I am glad to be back with all of you. So, but before we get started, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already. Please, it helps out. It helps the channel out. And, that love and support goes a long way in making sure that we can continue to bring you this great programming. Of course, pinned in the comment section and also down in the description, I've got my link tree there. Please go support my advertisers, sponsors, and preferred retail partners. They help continue to keep all the programming going on the show, and your support goes a long way. Whether you're looking for accessories, you're looking for cigars, I got you covered. Make sure you use the exclusive promo codes that are only available to my viewers out there to save you some coinage. That's right. I got to tell you, I'm all about saving coinage here. We're coming into that time where you got to spend money on everybody else. So you might as well save some money for yourself on some delicious, delicious treats of the mouth hole. That's right there. My guest tonight. This dude, Titan in the boutique industry. I love listening to this guy talk. I just hang out in the chat, and when he's on lives on Instagram, I've learned an awful lot, dude. Just into everything. Just a plain awesome brother out there, and I'm excited to finally get him on the show out there. So let me bring him on. He's the owner of MtOlympis Cigars, Mr. Dwight Newton. Welcome, brother.
Welcome. How we doing?
Man, we are doing great. I'm glad to get you on the show, man.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Good. Well, I'll hand it over to you. You can introduce yourself and the brand a little bit better than I did. I just give you the solid introduction there to build that confidence up, and then I hand it over to you.
Well, right on. Most everybody understands, call me by DJ, but owner of MtOlympis Cigars. It's a veteran-owned business. It's been running operation now close to 2 years. We produced 8 cigars in the meantime. Blends from your medium that blends well with coffee, all the way up to some full bodies. Great with bourbon, great with whiskey, your choice of spirits, or whatever libations you choose to do it. Premium tobacco out of Nicaragua, Esteli. We're great to be here. The line has been doing awesome, over the past year and a half. So, we just decided to be here, make our mark on the cigar industry.
I think you've made an even bigger mark out on there on that industry. So, they're here. So you've got multiple different lines within your portfolio that really caters to everybody's palate out there, which is good out there. But let's dig a bit deeper into these blends. So however you want to start and however you'd like to do it, we will get going here. So the people out there can get a little bit better understanding of these delicious treats. And I'm going with the Aphrodites tonight. This is one of my favorite sticks that he manufactures out there. So
let's talk about her. She's an Ecuadorian Habano, filler bonders, all Nicaraguan, torpedo box press. We decided when we started making these particular cigars, we wanted to come out in pairs, to introduce a male god and a male goddess. She obviously the first goddess to come out, the goddess of love, probably the top seller that we have right now. That's why we probably are so much in back order for her. She just was in Black Box Cigar Club October edition. She's made her way out to Uganda and Kenya, obviously multiple spots here in the U.S. Great all-around smoke, good, creamy, got some sweetness to it, a little pepper, everyday smoke, what I see for most people. I'm smoking on the original, which is the original band for Zeus. But the Zeus band has changed. We came out with this one. I think it was better suited for where we were going. And he is also Nicaraguan filler binder. We have him, a Brazilian Maduro wrapper. Nice, thick smoke for him. Some earthiness and pepper. I think a lot of people get a little bit of nutty. I don't necessarily get that, but he's also a pretty smooth smoke. Again, it blends great with coffee, whiskey, bourbon, things of that nature. Just all around. As my good brother Skuro would say, Zeus is sometimes like smoking two different cigars. When you get down to the last third, he said it's a different cigar altogether. I'll let everybody else be the judge of that. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. When it comes to the blending on this, do you work on these blends yourself, or you leave it to your master blender and you kind of just give him an idea of what you're looking for?
Nah, I do a lot of the work myself, like pretty much right out here on my own balcony. I'll smoke, I'll take different notes down, whether, if I'm in a lounge, but primarily I'll be right here on the balcony. I'll be like, hey, this is basically what I'm looking for, but I'll actually go out, just smoke, pretty much close to 2 to 3 boxes before I narrow what I think I would like the profile to be. And then, we shoot it out, then we start talking about, hey, this is the leaf I want, and then from that point, we'll tweak it down with the master blender and say, hey, whether we have the leaf available or not. If it's, not aged enough, we might have to wait on a particular one. We kind of did that with Hades and Hera just because they were bigger cigars. But for the most part, it's me. And then I'll let them tweak it and everything else. And
that's their job.
haven't had a problem with them since.
Yeah, that's good. A few shout outs here as we get going. We got quite a few people jumping in on here. What up there to Joe? Joe Ash, welcome, brother. Good to see you. Anthony Giannis, welcome. Let's say Steve Bowling.
Smoke that ash. I see him up in there.
Yeah, good.
Steve, oh yeah.
House of Oscar, welcome. T Talks, welcome.
Okay.
T Talks said that you're being all serious today because you ain't even drinking.
I got it, but you know what I'm saying? They just don't understand. You got to talk business first.
So puffin' sexy. What's up, beautiful lady? Good
Evening.
Out there. Josh A., welcome. A lot of people jumping in here. Good to see everybody. All right. Let's see. Okay, so, all right, so we just talked about here the Zeus. I'll say this about Aphrodite. All right, she's a beautiful lady on there. I told him, I told DJ as we were in the green room there that she looks just like my baby mama, like literally. I'm looking. She, although she doesn't look like she hates my guts like my baby mama does. So,
the smoke just wants to get smoked.
That's right. She just wants to get smoked, and I bring that. The other one just wants to give smoke.
Hey, pick your battles. Pick your battles.
What's up, Ira Lee from the Boutique Cigar? Good to see you, brother. Chris
Hey, how we
Coulter,
doing?
good to see you. Good to see everybody jumping in tonight, man. I'm excited for y'all to be in.
Oh yeah, you got a lot of people jumping in, bro.
Yeah. All right. So we've gone Zeus. All right. So what's the next one we want to talk about here?
So I'm gonna do these two together.
Okay.
There's subtle variations to the two, but this is my god and goddess of war. So we introduce, Ares and Athena at the same time.
Okay.
Like I said before, all the women come out, they're box pressed. For those, I just think it's a very cleaner smoke, better draw. We wanted to do these two in a pair just because of their some of their tenacities as far as leadership, combat. So she's in a Oscuro binder while he's in a regular Maduro. Again, both of them Nicaraguan filled. A lot of earthiness, pepper with both of these. I want to say out of both of these cigars, they're probably the better combo that people have been getting at real quick, like when they first dropped. So everybody was wanting to get their hands on them because they're thinking of the God of War when they think about the video game or Kratos, and they took off. They're pretty good smokes. Preferably, I think a lot of people like it with bourbon, whiskey, but I'll still drink them with coffee.
Well, you said Oscuro, and that's like my heart right there. Like that is that's like my mistress tobacco. I will go for anything Cameroon, but when Oscuro sends you that 2 a.m., what you doing text or you up text, Cameroon just gets to know I'm gonna be going. Like I'm gonna come back home to you, but I got a need that needs to be taken care of.
There's business to be had.
That's right. You guys, you got to take care of that business. Oscuro's my side chick.
Well, now they know. Now they know.
I think people who have hung out in the chat over the last 6 years have figured that one out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was like, you up? Of course I don't care. It's one of those that that she's texting and will wake you up out of a dead sleep. You do the Undertaker rising from the dead straight up. It was like, I think she texted.
Like, is the door already unlocked?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is my girl still in bed? Boot her ass out. Nah, I got company coming over.
Right on.
All right.
So those four pretty much were like the groundbreaking for the first year, right there in 2024. We took a little hiatus. We sent out some samples to various group of people, East Coast, West Coast. I think I had like Smoking Artist, Maduro Melly. I had Zeta Gray, a couple other people actually tried the samples, got our feedback and everything. So we went back a little bit to some drawing boards, and then we got these bad boys delivered. Matter of fact, last month, and they've been flying off. I give congrats and great ambition out to Bruno Lyons. He was the first one. I didn't even get to get him on the website yet. He's like, send me my smokes. I need them. And so, with all further ado, we'll introduce Hera, our goddess of marriage. You don't have that one.
Okay. All right.
So
Gotcha. All
she
right.
she's a barber pole, 7x68 Solomon.
Oh,
She, I want to say is I was going for something because I wanted to do something like the 5-pillar marriage with her. My blender obviously, recommended against it. He's like, yeah, that's going to be too hard, too tough, and it's probably not going to do well because we actually wanted to wrap her in 5 different wrappers
oh wow.
to signify the 5 pillars of marriage. But better yet, she comes off a little different. Light pepper, hint of clove, got some earthiness, very smooth smoke. She starts off slow in the beginning, and then once that first third is taken over, she picks right up. But then this is Sean, So Puff and Sexy. This is, I think, what she was waiting for, as well as a few others. They were waiting on, that this guy here, Hades, god of the underworld. He's also barber pole, 7x70 box breast.
Holy cow, that's huge.
Yeah, so like I tell people, I say, if you're hungry, you know what I'm saying? You need that Snickers. This is him.
Do you have 2.5 hours to smoke a cigar?
So I will even go against the myth about that. So for him, and it depends on the how people smoke, because I know there's a lot of people that I think still power smoke. They don't give time really for the tobacco to rest and everything, so they could probably actually finish that in under 2 hours. I don't recommend it.
I don't either. Somebody's just looking to, if you're at that point and you just need that vitamin N to be directly shot into your veins at that point. If you're smoking,
yeah. So both of them, again, with the, we went with the Maduro Habano wrapper. I think it was a great combination. And even just giving them both, again, the box press, the flow is pretty even throughout smoke. I'm typically a V cut, so obviously for him, it's not, saying the greatest to try to pull off. So I'll just do a regular punch. Works great. I know I still have like one of the select draw from Mark and everything, so I've tried that as well with it. Definitely great pulls. Yep, you got it. And yeah, he's a long-term guys. Like, listen, if you want to sit down and contemplate some things for a couple of hours, he's the guy to sit down with and just relax. If you have the time, And then the last two we went more complex, more so than I thought that they would turn out. That they actually turned out better than I imagined. So you have these two also. So the first one we have is Poseidon. All right. We'll introduce him out there. So Poseidon is very different because he probably is leaning from medium to full. I don't think a lot of people suspect that from Connecticut, but he's an Ecuadorian Connecticut with a Peruvian binder and jalapa filler. Great pepper, very smooth in the beginning, and then he gets very complex in the second and the last third. We wanted to do that to kind of mimic that of a body of water at rest. tidal waves, tsunamis. You get it. Like water can be very destructive. So we went that with him. With this beautiful lady, Hestia, our goddess of hearth, and home. Home, I think, is a very strong foundation. And so I think she embodies that all around with her Sumaltra wrapper, San Andreas wrapper for her. Nicaraguan, filler binder. She's very peppery, more so for those who like the full body smoke. I've already had people hitting me up because they thought I was trying to hide her, but I'm definitely not. She's on the website. Pick her up. She shocked me after one of the college football games when I was in Georgia, and we had all been out drinking and everything, and I had a late night smoke. Probably not the best decision, but it made me actually look at the smoke and was like, I have to do this again on a clear palate. And it didn't, do me wrong. It just, having the palate that I did at the time didn't do it any justice. And then once I had the clear palate, I was like, okay, now I get everything that this cigar had in store for me. But she's great. Probably one of my newer favorites out of the 8.
Okay. She looks beautiful, and she looks really beautiful in a box press.
Lips can be deceiving.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I got one of those inside.
Well, hey, not gonna comment on that.
Yeah, we won't. No comment. I think just me breathing is enough to set her off. All right, so, man, have you always been into or enamored by Greek mythology? Is that one of the reasons why you chose to go with the Greek theme of the cigars, or
no? So the short backstory that I tell everybody. So my Instagram handle basically comes from one of my favorite MCs, rappers, Southern rappers, Big Crit. He has a song out called MtOlympis. I chose to take the U out and use the I, what I'm saying? Not to, be on plagiarism or anything like that. And so once I had the Instagram name, I still smoke cigars regularly. I wasn't quite familiar with the cigar culture of today. So with the social media presence, the cigar weeks, education, was not even familiar with that until I got into the lounge with Ray and Chevalier. And so upon there, I was introduced to Orlando. And so once we got into talking, he's like, listen, you need to come out with your own cigar. We're gonna have to do this. And he just kept pushing and pushing. He's like, you got to think about where you want to go with this. And I thought about it for the longest time. And then I just looked at, my Instagram handle and was like, well, you know what? I think I can run with this, and there are so many different avenues I think I could have gone with it. So the first avenue that we selected was to do the 12 Olympian God and Goddesses. And so we got the 8, and we're working on the last 4 for the set.
Nice. Did Orlando have, which dusty ass burned up hoodie did Orlando have on when he told you this? Orlando, OG always has.
Oh yeah,
his
listen,
dirty, dusty ass hoodie. Everything.
Listen, he probably, I don't even think was in a dusty ass hoodie, but he was in a dusty ass t-shirt.
Oh,
Said, sitting out back, smoking a cigar. Like, come on, dog. Listen, this is what we need to do.
I've teased him about that dusty ass hoodie so much that when he came on the show, he wore it just as a joke. But
right,
I loved it, and I'm guessing Chevalier had on his medium shirt.
I think I seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Orlando's a bully. Just get him when he's got the dusty ass hoodie and the cowboy hat on. Then he's a softie.
Oh, listen, you got to catch him right when he just got off the road traveling. He don't have no energy. That's when you need to catch him.
T Talks here says that this is the most serious he's ever seen you.
Man, look, it's a long day.
Right. Long day. Okay. I mean it makes sense, building on that theme within the Instagram handle out there, and there's so much you can do within that mythology,
right.
Within Greek mythology, even after you go through the 12
right.
gods of Olympus, with building into what each of those gods, something within what each of them brought to the table, So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can be done.
Oh, there is. I mean, we've already been sampling with the next, potential next line, to kind of follow suit, to tell the backstory of how the Olympians came about, and so, that's in the works now. Like I said, upon, just the cigars, I have to shout out to Brother Skuro. He's the one behind creating the merch for MtOlympis Cigars. So, you can find that on his Instagram bio and Shopify, as well as on mine.
I do, and I love that you also went with the Greek spelling of each of the names on the bands. That just really adds, it really builds in and adds to the character of the cigar itself.
Well, I wanted it to be something different completely. Not only does it have, the image of, those, within the Black cigar community, but it also, as you said, it has their Greek name. So I think more so it starts to intrigue people to be like, well, what is this? I think, I just, recently, probably not even a month ago, landed Aphrodite in one of the lounges here. And the guy actually wanted to keep it for a soft opening, because I believe we just had another Taylor Smoke open up here in Virginia. And he wanted to, basically bring it to the soft opening. And by the time he even thought about it, I'd say a third of the box was already sold. His wife and I put it in the humidor, and they were just gone. So I was like, oh, so much for that soft launch, but hey, I got your reorder.
How's that been working into the shops? Did you think it was, why should I say, was it easy, hard?
It's hit or miss. So, and I'll talk about the particular shop. I won't get them by name, but when I first dropped, I talked to that lounge, and here it was like a year later. They saw me at an event for the Omegas, and he just came up to me and said, "Hey man, how can I get your cigars in my shop?" I said, "Easy." I said, "I could bring a box here, shop tonight." And he's like, "That's it?" I was like, "That's it." And they were in there. And I think it wasn't just because he seen me that day. I think he also had seen me at several other events vending. And so he was like, and I think one of his business partners also had been buying my cigars, and I don't think he was really telling me. He was like, "Man, I know these cigars," and I was like, "Yeah, I gave y'all some, back in 2024." It's always hit or miss, when you're trying to get them into a lounge or a mobile lounge. I have to shout out Sticks and Sticks out there in Floxmore, Illinois. Pretty much the lounge that, for me, took it and ran with it. You know what I'm saying? With both Zeus and Aphrodite, right off the gate. Reordered everything. So, it's a big ups for him for taking, on a brand that he didn't know, didn't have a clue, sent some samples, and he's like, "Hey, I think we could do something with this," and he did.
I've spent a lot of time watching you and hanging out in lives on Instagram, and you're real, man. You speak from the heart. You talk about this passion that you have when creating the brand out there, and I think it shows in the quality of the cigar that you also manufacture and produce. Because whether that be the military background or whether that just be because that's who you are as a person, that I can say from the handful that I've smoked over the last year and a half, I've never had a problem or an issue with anything that you've produced. They've all been thoroughly enjoyable. And as a consumer, I appreciate that, and the consistency is always there. And for small brands, keeping that consistency going and going and going it's really hard. And I say the consistency is A+.
That was my biggest fear when I got the first two, and then I did a reorder, and I was like, are they gonna be just as good as the originals that came out? And when I got them, I let them sit for a while, smoked them. I was like, thank you, Jesus. Like, oh my God. Because I think for anybody, as a boutique brand, that's your biggest fear, that your cigars don't come out when you do a reorder the same as the originals did, and if they came out better, great. But if they came out worse, oh man, like that's a huge blow. I think sometimes and that's a lot of time, money wasted, and then now it's like, hey, now I got to go back to the drawing board. Like, what did you guys do differently that we didn't do? So one of the other key things to that is we broke down who actually rolled the particular cigars. You're not rolling anything else out of MtOlympis except for this. And, just to keep it consistent. So that's how we, I think kind of keep that consistency.
To keep a consumer base, that's what you need. But you're also working with a very professional group, manufacturer out there. So their ability to continuously keep that consistency is high.
Yeah.
Because you're just not the only brand they work for. If they can't keep that consistency, they're not going to be in business. That's
a fact.
Yeah. You run it. So as a consumer, I appreciate that, because occasionally with a lot of smaller boutique brands, that it's like, well, this is different than the last time I ordered a pack. And so what's changed? But I've not had that experience with any of the ones I've smoked from you. They've all consistency. They've all matched up, and they're fantastic, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, my first welcoming into the cigar culture, I should say, is when they actually came in. I wasn't the first one to smoke them, of course. You know, I got the phone call from Orlando. He was like, "Man, look what I got, dog." And I'm like, "Really? That's what you're gonna do?" I was like, "Give me my cigars before I fucking fly to Cali."
Well, you know, the Aphrodite, which is my favorite of what you manufacture out there, and since I have you on live, I am going to present you with the highest honor I can present a cigar out there for the Aphrodite, which is
Oh, that's
right. The Aphrodite gets the coveted jewel bucket.
Oh man, I know, my God.
I cannot bestow a higher honor upon a cigar.
Wow. I don't think I'm trying to remember that.
I just want to show people there. Look at that ash. How solid that is. Like that's just good high quality tobacco right there. You know, that burn is just phenomenal on it. What a solid ash. So I just wanted to show the people that's high quality right there.
I have to let my friends back at the office know about the jewel bucket.
Oh yes, yeah. The jewel bucket is a staple among my channel that I just, you know, when you put something out that is so damn good and you get me drooling, I have to pull out the drool bucket, and it's an honor that all cigars wish that they could have, but only a handful get.
Hey, and I appreciate that that trophy right there. You know, I'm glad you enjoy the smoke.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm hoping in the future that when I do my top 10 lists, I can get little drill buckets, like little drill bucket trophies made, so I can send them to the brands with them. You know, that's something I've been working on. But you know,
That's awesome.
You got to have this, and you know, I would have that, but I buy an awful lot of these, so.
I mean, you are a cigar review, so I think you would probably be smoking quite often, and I think I've seen quite the many posts that you have put out there, and you pretty much smoke a very large variety of smokes.
Well, look at who decides to show up. We say schmedium 3 times, and he magically appears.
Hey, it happens. He might have on that medium right now.
You know he does. He's sitting out in the backyard of the trailer park. You know, smoking something, contemplating deep into life and thought, and
Listen,
figuring out how he can look sexy and sultry in his next post.
They said all at the same time. Hey,
all at the same time.
They said that's when the classic man and the cigar tracks come out.
You know, we're when I was in Dallas last week at an event, and he's sitting there and he's got his phone and he's trying to get that photo out there going, and he's like blowing the smoke, and he's getting the duck lips going. I'm like, oh, am I getting to witness the process in person?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. You got to witness it in person.
Oh wow, yeah. I got to see it. I'm like, he's like, I just can't seem to get the airflow through here. It's what I'm like. Do I have to show you how to take a photo too? Geez, if you're not doing old man thirst traps and hoochie daddy shorts or wearing shirts that are 5 sizes too small for you, but I got to do everything for you.
Hey, great guy though. Great guy.
I love Chevalier. He's my man. He's my guy. I love that guy. I would do almost anything for him, but I'm still gonna roast him any chance I get, because Do you really love somebody if you don't roast them?
Yeah, you got to kind of do it. OG gets it from me daily.
I give it to OG too whenever I see him too.
Much love, much love.
Was creating a brand ever something on your mind that you wanted to do, or was it just something because OG peer pressured you into it?
Nah, it wasn't even a thought. Like in my thought process, I actually wanted to open out a lounge. I thought that was, and for me, in my opinion, a better avenue. But then after you know, talking with OG and actually understanding it, was like, well, you know what? I could put something out now that I can still call it my own. You know, the lounge is not off the table, but it was more of a quick story because I got a 26-year-old, 22-year-old, one just graduating college, and I wanted to still show them that, hey, you can still you know have your goals, have your dreams come true, no matter if anybody tells you can't, your age, whatever, you can still do it. Just put your mind to it, and it can happen. It does require the work, and you got to have the work ethic behind it. And so I think when my daughter graduated college, she graduated with honors, and I think she was trying to prove that to me as well. Um, just for her to graduate with honors. So I was like, all right, as long as I can put a good footprint in their brain that, hey, come on out here and just take over the world as best as you can. And, anything is possible.
Yeah. I mean, look at me. I mean,
Right.
Somehow, I've turned this into something. I don't know how that happened. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but I appreciate everybody who shows up every week to watch the shows and hangs out in the chat. You know, but I think that when you let that passion shine and show, and you show, like I talked about earlier, you're just real. You're authentic out there. The people will come around, and the people will want to be a part of what you got going on, which is why I think you have such a big following with your brand out there, because you're real, you're authentic. Plus,
Well,
you make
I
fucking
look
great
at it.
cigars.
I mean, I look at it. I think with consumers that have purchased and everything else, I think I thrive more off of them than than them off of me. It's like I'm a kid in the candy store. If I see anybody smoking my cigar, and it's like, oh shit, look at that. Let me get that repost. Let me post to my stories. Let me do this. Let me do that. But it's even better when you have someone organically just blend in and do some stuff that I think somewhat in some ways elevates the brand. Like I said, I give credit out to Cam from Brother Oscuro. Like he put out some merch. He created music three different occasions. So it's like it's like, hey, we can all sit at the same table and eat. There's room for everybody. Like I don't have to. I wasn't even thinking about merch at all. And somebody was like, "Hey, you gonna come up with some merch?" And I was like, "Nah, not really." But then somebody was like, "Hey, look what I did," and I was like, "God damn!" I was like, "Well, I think that's just the way to go." And so he started the website, and hey, we went live, last month. So it was like, all right, let's do it.
Have you been surprised by the growth of the brand itself over the last, almost 2 years now?
Um, I think so. And the only reason I think the bigger reason I say that is because there are a lot of low-key craft cigars out here. I think, just in my area of VA, I think there's like a couple of dozen, you know, and that's just in the 757. You know, we're not even talking about, you know, Western Virginia or up in the Northern Virginia area. We're just talking about probably here locally. And so I follow some of them. I don't know, you know, obviously what their sales are. I've smoked, you know, some of their cigars. Um, and what I don't like to do, I won't like to just come out and say, yeah, your cigar wasn't for me. Like, you know, and I just leave it at that. Um, Occasionally I'll go back to one that, you know, maybe my palate wasn't good that day. So let me go back and try it. You know, if I still kind of got the same, you know, idea behind it, I'm like, all right, we're good.
Yeah, you know, I I try you know, for me, I try and give it a minimum of 3 cigars. You know, if I when I'm testing out new brands out there, I give it a 3, and I smoke them at various times during the day. I use different types of flames on it just to see how the tobacco reacts. How does it react to my palate? Am I picking up something different going with a soft flame over a torch over,
Okay, yeah,
you
yeah,
know, you know, and okay, you know what, this smoke definitely was better for me in the afternoon than it was in the evening or the morning. You know, okay, you know, so I try and give every brand a fair opportunity and a fair shake on when I'm, you know, when I'm trying to be honest with
right,
whether it's a cigar that I like or not. But you know, I don't say that there's ever any bad cigars out there. They're just cigars that are for me and cigars that aren't for me. And
right.
just because it's not for me doesn't mean it's a bad cigar.
No,
Just means that it's not, you know, it's a good cigar. It smokes good. It tastes good. It's just not what I like,
right.
you know. So, and I don't knock a cigar because of that. I just, you know,
Mm-mm.
look, I liked it. If you like these types of flavors in a cigar, then I highly recommend you go check it out. You know,
Right,
go smoke it. You know, you know, and even if it's not, try it anyway. Maybe you pick up something in it that I didn't that makes it good for you. But I'll never say that there's a bad cigar out there because there's not. There's just, again, there's cigars that are for you and cigars that aren't for you. What's up there, Shawan Mims from Harbor
Harbor Line.
Lion Cigar? Good to see you.
Good evening, brother.
Got to see him last week.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I think I've seen a couple of the reels, him, Cloud Brothers being out there, Cigar Rockstar.
Rockstar was doing what Rockstar does.
Yeah, yeah.
Another dude I love. Uh, but yeah, so mm, so to kind of add on to the last question I asked out there to you, which was, are you surprised by that? Which is where the brand is at now. Are you where you thought you would be at this point? Not there yet, or or above where you thought you'd be?
I think I'm above where I thought I would be at. I If you had asked me this last year, I probably wouldn't have told you that I'm gonna have, you know, 8 cigars out in 2025 and starting to work on the last 4 of the line. Um, I think, you know, we went in intentionally with Aphrodite and Zeus. We just kind of sat back. We, you know, picked each other's brains. We went back and forth, back and forth. Obviously, the first 2 cigars to come out, I think, you know, we were going to have that kind of, I guess, time lag between each of us. But then to follow up, you know, right in the fall, when we came out with the Gods and Goddess of War, it was like, okay, I think we're setting, a little pace between ourselves. And then just based on the way the market, taxes, tariffs, import, export taxes, and everything else this year, that created a lot of lag time. So instead of introducing two of the cigars in the beginning of the year, we just, had to wait and then dropped all four of them, in the fall. Did that hurt? I won't say not really, financially, having to just, drop all the stuff for shipping and everything like that, it was kind of a pain in the ass, but, I wanted to, give distance between, when the two cigars come out in pairs, not to actually drop four at the exact same time. So,
Sure.
I mean, it's been with these, it's been a tug, but, I wouldn't say it's that bad of a tug because, like I said, some people are like, "Well, I want 5 packs of all four right now." Like, all right, no problem. It's like, hey, I want these 2 5 packs now, but look, I'm about to come back and then put in another order. It's like, all right, and really, I just ask for honest feedback, like whether that's tweet me, an email, through the website, hit me up in the email, or just send me a DM in my, on Instagram. Like, give me your feedback, and it's like, all right, if it's something within my control, let's see if we can work some stuff out and get it corrected. That's the one thing I will say. I will probably pride myself more so on trying to make sure the customers are good. Like, my palate is always, primarily a full body cigar, but all of my cigars are not that way because I wanted it for the broader scale of everyone to smoke, not just, myself.
Sure. Yeah. I think a lot of brands do that, and I've been like you. I prefer a more fuller bodied cigar, more fuller flavored cigar out there. But I'm not opposed to smoking something that's on the lighter side if the flavors pop.
Right.
You know, for me, somebody who's smoked cigars for 25 years, I have watched the progression of my palate and how it's changed. But one thing that hasn't changed in that is if a cigar's got good flavors, regardless of the strength, I'm down. I'm down to smoke it. There no doubts on that one. And I think that a lot of people out there, especially this newer breed of smoker that has kind of come in over the last few years, I don't know how they handle smoking a lot of that hardcore heavy cigars consistently and multiple times a day and not blow their palate out, because I couldn't do that even
Right.
now.
And I've done it on a couple of cigar weeks that I've been to. It's like, yeah, you know what, no. And so, like, and I know for me, like, my 2 best times for me to smoke is first thing in the morning. I'm relaxed, I'm outside, I have my cup of coffee, and that's when my palate's pretty clear. And then I do a late night smoke, usually probably around 10, like about 3 to 4 hours after dinner, after I've already had like half a gallon of water. And it's like, all right, let me sit out here and enjoy a smoke. So those are the 2 times where I like, if I'm intentional about trying out a brand new cigar, it's going to be either in the morning or late in the afternoon.
This is my 3rd cigar today. I don't usually smoke 3 in a day, but I'm off. I was off work today, and I had stuff I had to, to create content. So I smoked early this morning, and then I had one late, early in the afternoon, and then I had nothing for hours. preparing for this one, clearing out my palate, making sure that I was ready to go for tonight's show. It's not something I usually do. Usually it's one a night.
But that still sounds like work.
It is work. It is work. But
but it's fun work.
It's fun work. It's fun work to sit there and really kind of go through and break down a cigar and take notes on all the cigars and everything out there, and just kind of I have notes on every cigar I've basically smoked for the last 20 years. And I always go back. If I re-smoke a cigar again, I'll go back, refer back to the notes and see if I picked up anything new or what's changed. Or, man, last time I smoked this cigar was 10 years ago. Well, let's see how I liked it then compared to now. And then I update my notes on it, constantly. I'm a tobacco nerd, so
I get it.
I like to track that progression, especially early on when I was smoking, because I didn't really go into heavier, fuller cigars until I was about 5 years into smoking. I was scared to try and expand out my palate, and then I was like, man, what was I? Why did I wait so long? Why was I scared to do that? I got caught in that rut of this is what I like, and I'm not really going to vary from it.
So what was your first?
So my very first cigar. So when I was 18 years old, I skipped school because I did that a lot. And I drove 30 miles to the cigar shop in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I walked in and I said, I just turned 18 today. I don't know anything about cigars, but I want to learn. I didn't know anything. And so the owner of the shop and one of the guys who hung out in the shop, they took me into the humidor and they picked out 3 cigars for me. And I go to pay, and I had no clue how much cigars cost. I thought they were like a luxury item. And I go, I got $100. Is that enough for these 3 cigars? And don't worry about it. They're on us. Happy birthday. If you like them, you'll be back. So they picked out a Padron 2000 Natural, Camacho, Connecticut, and an Oliva Series, Cameroon. Those 3. And I lit up the Padron first. And immediately I was like, this is amazing. I didn't know that such amazing flavors could come from smoke in a mouth. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And basically, after I graduated high school and stuff, and when I was working, and I had an afternoon shift. I would drive into town and I'd go to the cigar shop before I'd go to work and sit and have a cigar before going to work. And I'd just hang out in the lounge. And that really started my obsession with cigars. And then I really started getting into boutique cigars, about 2008 or so, when there was a kind of a mini revolution that hit in 2008.
Right.
And so I really got into them, and then I since then have made it my kind of like passion on the boutique and small brand stuff.
That's the thing, yeah.
Out there. So yeah. So a Padron 2000 Natural was my very first cigar I smoked.
All right.
And it is still today. If I'm stranded on a desert island and they say you can only smoke 1 cigar for the rest of your life, that to me, that will always be that cigar. Doesn't matter. Just, you can leave it. I'll be perfectly fine if that's all I could smoke for the rest of my life stranded on an island. It wouldn't bother me one bit.
I think my first cigar was like that too. So same age. I was overseas, and I had the Monte Cristo number 2, and I still have 10 left from that original box that I bought back in the 90s.
Wow. Yeah. The people who I met in that lounge, like, it really set forth my idea about the cigar world and the cigar culture out there, because I didn't know anything going into it, but I met a guy, and he was one of those rich guys, and he'd always buy expensive cigars. And so and I remember in 2008 when Davidoff released the Presidente, and there was only 1,000. It was 1,000 boxes that had 8 cigars in them, and that was all they made of that. And those those cigars individually back in 2008 ran $70 a cigar. And he bought a box and he handed me one, and I just remember I was like, man, that's like $70, but to that guy that was like $1, because he had that kind of money. He didn't care, and I'm like, well, thank you. And I remember that. And I remember when I smoked that cigar, and I was like, wow, I don't think I'll ever smoke a cigar that's more expensive than this ever in my life. And little did I know that I have found myself on a few occasions dropping over $100 on a single cigar. But at the time, I just thought, man, I couldn't do it. I never could see myself spending that much money on one cigar, and this guy bought a box.
Hey, we all have, as we say, vices. To most of us, it is the leaf. To others, they dwell in the spirits or cars or sneakers. We all have some vice that we fall into.
It never goes away, and and you have to check yourself sometimes, because you're like, do I really need to do this? Because I'm one of those guys. Look, there's a lot of people out there that will be gifted a cigar like that, and they'll never smoke it ever. It'll just sit. And I'm one of those guys that's like, they're meant to be smoked, and I don't need a special occasion to smoke a cigar. I'll make up a reason to smoke it. You know what? I only have one of these cigars, and I'm never gonna get another one ever again. But I want to smoke it, and you know what? Here's my reason. I'm alive. There we go. That's a good reason.
That's a reason every day.
That's right. Because you hear people, it's like, well, I only have one, and I never get. I'm like, why? Then get rid of it, man. What's the point of keeping it if you're never going to smoke it, or if you always try and find an excuse for why you can't? You need to have if you need to have a reason why, you have to go. And I do have a few cigars that I have picked up along the way that, yeah, you know what? I need a reason to. I'm going to smoke it for a reason,
right?
But they do get smoked, because I had that one of a kind Fuente cigar. Only 250 were made, and I had one of the 250. You're never going to get this cigar ever again.
Nope.
Ever. And unless you were at that specific Fuente event and one of the 250 people that was there, you didn't get it. And so it's been sitting in my humidor for 3 years. And right out in August, right after my dad passed, I said, you know what? I'm going to smoke this cigar, because, I felt that it's a one-of-a-kind stick that I'm never going to be able to experience ever again. And my dad was a one-of-a-kind of a guy.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna smoke it. And I did. And it was phenomenal. And I'm glad I had that experience, because it was doing no good sitting in the humidor.
A one-in-a-lifetime cigar for a lifetime of dad.
Yeah.
So why not? You celebrated him in your own way.
I did, and I thought that was a perfect tribute to send my dad off was something like that. And then my birthday, I had been Rick Rodriguez had gifted me an original Amazon basin from 2014. This was from the very first run. So again, another once in a lifetime cigar. Hey, I'm never going to get one of those again. And you couldn't even see the cigar through the cellophane. Cellophane was so brown. And I'm like, okay. So I go, well, how well did this cigar hold up after 11 years? And I go, this seems like a good time to smoke. And again, another once in a lifetime smoke. All right. And it was really good. It had lost some of that power that you kind of expect from a basin, but overall, everything on it was good, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought, man, because I'm not going to make excuses for not smoking something. If I have it and I want to smoke it, I'll come up with a reason to. And some of the one-of-the-kind stuff it may hold off for something. Hey, you know what? It's my daughter's birthday. One-of-a-kind cigar type. I'll find a reason to smoke it.
You got to do it.
You got to do it. They're meant to be smoked. It's doing no good in your humidor. And if you have to have a reason to smoke it, I'll give you the best reason. As I told you before, you're alive. I don't think there's any better reason.
No. You're above ground.
Mm-hmm.
Make the most of it.
That's why, and I've gifted a lot of cigars to people, and then I've gifted them, like expensive cigars. And I'm like, hey, did you? Oh, no, I didn't. I'm like, smoke it, man. That's why I gave it to you. I didn't give it to you to sit in your humidor. Smoke it. That's what I gave it to you for, man.
As you say, some people don't smoke like that. You know what I'm saying? They might treasure that particular gift, and you know what? They're like, for them, it's not no real justice to smoke this, but God damn it, fire that thing up.
If you want to save one for a collection, then buy two and smoke one.
Yes.
I have a collection humidor of cigars where I bought multiple because it's like, well, it's a nice collection piece. And so I'm just going to have it in there, and then I've smoked one.
Fair enough.
Yes, Chris has it there. Why is he going to leave a rare collection of cigars for somebody else to enjoy? Exactly.
Nope.
Exactly. Why would you do that?
I got plenty of cigars in here, and they get lit daily.
That's right. We're no way, man. They're going to get smoked, So, yeah, don't be afraid to smoke it because you don't. So you had it. Now that's an experience that you will cherish for the rest of your life, that you got to experience that cigar. And yeah, you may never get another one in your life. Oh, what? But at least you have that experience. And I got to tell you, thinking back on a lot of those rare and ultra rare cigars that I've smoked, man, I still remember every single one of them. Because it's just like, it just plants that seed, that memory in your brain. Oh, yeah. And then occasionally something will something will hit you and it'll be like, oh man, I remember this cigar that I smoked. I still do it today. If, like baby mama will cook something and the smell or the taste on it, and I'm like, boy, I remember this cigar I smoked in like 2011. That had that same taste on there. And it just jogs that memory. She's like, I don't care about this. Why are you telling me? I'm like, it just jogs a memory.
Listen, to her, in her head is like, are you sure it's a cigar?
It does, I'm like, and I told her, I go, haven't you smoked like some weed that's been really good, and then at some point like something jogged your memory in it, and it's like, oh, I remember that blunt that I got, and it was, and she's like, no, and I'm like, oh well. I think the difference between weed smokers and cigar smokers, because Me, I'd be like, if I smoke that, I know that anything that I'd ever come across in the round, I'd be like, boy, this reminds me of that blunt that I smoked one. Because that's just how I think our cigar smoke. I think that's just how us cigar smokers are.
Yeah.
Just we you know we associate it. It gets associated in our brain, and then something happens where we just think of it out of the blue, out of nowhere.
Well, I think too though, the very big difference is time. Where somebody smoking some weed, they're gonna be done with that 5-10 minutes, and then going about their day. When you're sitting around for an hour, really enjoying the smoke, flavors that the cigar is putting out, that's a lasting thing. Very, very huge difference.
Well, yeah, but I also know that, like, part of, especially with this new level of cannabis, how they're growing and cultivating and curing and blending, like, that piques my curiosity from the cigar side of things. And I know that if I smoked, I would become as obsessed with it as I am with cigars, where I would be like, oh man,
But you're right.
Because I would want to learn. So it's a good thing that I get randomly drug tested all the time, because
you're absolutely right. Because I have some friends that actually grow and blend, and cross pollinate like across the board. And I'm like, you did what? And they're like, yeah, you need to come over and see the greenhouse. And I'm like, nah, I'm good.
It is. She had one, and I'm like, but that smells like chocolate cake. And she's like, you think so? I'm like, yes. The aromatics, it smells like chocolate cake. I go, does it taste like chocolate cake? And she's like, no. I go, well, it smells like it. She goes, oh, I wonder if that's why they named it, chocolate cake. I'm like, probably because it smells like chocolate cake when you're burning it. Like, she's like, it's really good, and I'm like, I'm sure, but I want to know. I want to know the flavor profile. Like, tell me about it. And
Oh yeah.
I had her co-host one night when I had a cannabis company on, because I can't smoke that, but she did, and all of a sudden she's like breaking it. She's like breaking down the blunt she's smoking that this guy sent me. She's like, and then she's like, so why did you go with a hemp wrapper over? And I'm like, wow, she's really good. I don't know. She's like, did I do? I'm like, yeah, you asked a lot of good questions. And she goes, apparently I've listened to you talk way too much about this, and I just asked questions I thought you would ask.
Right.
I'm like, oh, good. That's why I had you on. I'm like, I couldn't tell you about it.
That's crazy.
I can't smoke that, but you did a good job.
Yeah, to each his own.
Yeah, teach their own out there. Yeah. Haze Gray Cigars. What's going on?
Haze Gray. What's going on, brother?
Good to see you.
That's another group right there, man. They're Admiral and a Patriot. Yeah, that double Maduro is pretty fire.
They make great stuff.
Yeah.
I had them. I've had them on. They've been on both the Tuesday show and this show. Fantastic.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet them down there in Pensacola, man. They're great, group of guys and ladies. They're Haze Gray Vixens.
Yes, it was good out there. Are you surprised by the amount of cigar companies out there that are veteran owned?
No. I don't know why, but I just think with us, from all walks of life, branches or whatnot, I think the two things that most military members will do is smoke and drink. And I'm not saying it's not hard to pick up, because I think it's fairly easy, but the amount of individuals I've known throughout my years of active duty and after retirement. It's like that's a lot. Like, and a lot of them, pretty much they started, during their career, and they enjoyed it, and it just stuck with them.
A guy like Steve Saka, who was every time they pull into port would buy pipe tobacco and then work on his blending skill, out on the deck smoking a pipe, which kind of got him going. And then, if you're a Navy guy and you want to talk to Nick Perdomo, he'll spend 10 hours talking about the Navy with you. There's so many that are in there that have that now have big companies, but that veteran premise. And I think it also explains why those brands are also extremely successful out there. A lot of that discipline that is instilled in you from the military out there. So kudos, because I think that those are some of the best brands out there, been veteran owned brands. And it's a testament to the quality that you put out there, because you wouldn't go into battle with a subpar gear. So why would you put out a subpar cigar?
Look, I've been on submarine duty, and you can't be subpar in that.
That's right. You're kind of in trouble if your submarine's leaking at the bottom of the ocean. It's like, oh, so was somebody supposed to fix that?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I used to think that too, but then talking to a lot of brands, and it's just like, man, the brand's good, and then it's like, well, it's that discipline I learned in the military. It's that quality, put that out there. And
I think for some, yes, but I truly think for those that are successful, it's their love of the leaf. Like, here's at the same time, it's one thing being in the military, but it's another thing having your name attached to something. You know what I'm saying? It's something that kind of represents you, embodies you. You kind of pour your characteristic into the leaf, into the smoke.
Put something, like a lot of things in life, you wouldn't put your name on something that you wouldn't like. So you put your name on this and backed it. So makes sense too on that. I don't want to have my own brand. Nope. I'm too anal about it, and I would end up screwing it up.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta just stop and let it go.
Yeah, I know how I'd be, because I'm a perfectionist and I'd want something done a certain way. I like where I'm at now, especially doing and working with brands as they're building cigars and giving them my input, whether that be something that's almost completed or from the very start to finish. I take pride going into a humidor and going, I had part in that cigar being created. And I like that far better than saying, saying I own a brand. That would be cool, but to go, oh, you like that? You like that cigar? Yeah. I had my hand in creating that cigar. I like that. That's way better.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing too. You know what I'm saying? I think there are those that they still love the leaf, but at the same time, I think knowing that they put forth a part, of that company, I think still goes a long way for them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, man, I know it would be a really complex cigar, but I'm too anal, because I'd be like, no. I want to leave that to the professionals here, like DJ. I know me. I like the smoking of the cigar, and I like when I get stuff sent from manufacturers throughout their journey of creating one.
Right.
And just me asking them, so what are you trying to do with this? What are you trying to accomplish? And then giving them my 2 cents and then see what goes from there. You know?
Yes. I think most people would probably look at the fact of that you take so many like heavily notes when you smoke. That I think that would be their reasoning behind, like, man, you could actually go ahead and put your own cigar out, but for you, you'd be like, I got all these notes. What am I gonna do?
I do. I would not do. Like, I have ideas. Like, I know what I would like to do, but I also know that, you know, I'd have to have my hand on every step of the way. And it'd be like, no. That's, instead of leaving it to the master blender to put it all together and make it work. No. That leaf shouldn't go. No, I don't think I'd be able to disconnect from that.
You might.
That's why there are professionals out there.
Yeah. Listen, at least one 505 cigar.
You know what? Maybe one day out there, a brand will want to do something.
You can put that out as a limited edition.
Yeah. Maybe one day out there, a brand will want to do something, and they will build the cigar that I've had in my head for 15 years, and we'll see if it works. Maybe one day, but right now, no. You know what? I'm fine where things are at.
Right on.
But that's why I've never told anybody about the blend that I've built in my head. I know it will work, but
once you speak it out in the atmosphere.
Yeah, then it gets put out there, and then somebody will take it and they'll run with it. That's why, nope. I keep it, but I know what I have the blend all the way down. The wrapper, binder, filler. I have it all the way. I have it all set.
Good deal. So
Johnny, maybe one day out there something will drop, but right now, no. I'm fine with. I'm happy with where things are at, and I'm happy to see that there are cigars that are actively on the shelf that you can go and buy that I've had my hand on at some point during that cigar's journey. That I can say, man, seeing a cigar that just dropped that 3 years ago I started my input on to now it's finally out in the market.
Wow. Okay.
I take pride in that, and it's good. And I always ask people every time I see them smoking like that, I'm like, what do you think of that cigar? Oh yeah, I like it. Yeah, why don't you like it? Let me know. Because I always want to see if they don't like something about the cigar, whether it was something like my input had to do with it, but it's never been my input. It's always like, I really like this. And it's like, oh yeah, that was my input. But I don't want to say, It was like when Dantley asked me to curate one of the black boxes out there. I was so worked up because I wanted people. I was checking the black box message board and the Facebook. I was checking everybody's posts on Instagram. I'm like, I hope people like my selections of what I chose, because it was driving me crazy. I put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, everybody loved the cigars that you put in there. And I'm like, oh, it's like, oh, good. And then Dantley going, oh, yeah, I don't carry that one brand. I now carry them in the shop. So people were asking for it after the box drop. I'm like, oh, good. But in my mind, there's always that doubt that's casted that I'm like, man, I don't know, maybe people didn't like it. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it happens. But lessons learned.
Don't make a Netflix special on it. No. That if there's one thing this world doesn't need is this mug on Netflix. All right. Nobody wants to look at this. All right. I'm still shocked when girls want to look at this. And I'm like, you do know what I look like, right? There will never be a Lancero made by me ever. There, Joe. Never. Never. You'll never see that. If I make it, it will be a Lancero that's like a 7x48.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, and it'll be my type of Lancero. It won't be that trash.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. All right.
No, thank you. But thank you there, Johnny. I'm sure you'll have, as everybody is watching on Netflix, you popping up, Johnny, going, "What's up, fuckers?"
That'll make it more interesting.
Do you have any plans in the future to start moving towards attending trade shows for growing on the brand, or just kind of keeping it where you're at now and letting it go naturally?
Yes and no. I think that's where I have to really concentrate on more so the time management piece. Just because of my regular 9 to 5 has me bouncing all around in different cities and everything. It's harder, I guess, to do. You know what I'm saying? Intentionally to just be like, hey, I want to, go out to Dallas, or go to Oklahoma, go out to Arizona. So, like, I just got off the road 2 months. I'm about to be back on the road for another month. So it's like, hit or miss. So, I mean, right now, they're like I said, they're doing fairly well, but I like to see more growth probably, within, lounges and things like that. Sure. But, and do I mind just retail? Hell no. It's definitely more money in retail, but like I kind of told from the interview from Black Box, saying I really didn't get in this to be some rich dude. You literally have to be in this game a while, and your product grown exponentially. Probably 10 years plus before you get to see that kind of revenue. So right now, I'm just enjoying the smoke.
Sure. Johnny brings up a good question here on that. He wanted to know about the situation revolving around the tariffs. He's been told to stock up now. Is it true or nonsense? With
not nonsense. So for us, prices have gone up a little bit as far as probably on individual cigars, and it's probably to give some kind of cushion, because I think just for like Nicaragua, things went up, at first like 18%, then it hit 30%. I think they're trying to increase it
to 100% tariff on.
Right. So, when you're thinking about, hey, my shipping used to be this, and now it's double what I would normally pay, just for the same amount of cigars, and then you're still talking about the taxes. I think a lot of people right now are like, stocking up. And that's why I kind of, was trying to run, for Veterans Day specials on Black Box. I did a special. I may do one for Thanksgiving, just for that. Times are crazy, financially for people. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, the tariffs, well, now what you're seeing pricing now out there are a lot of stuff is all stuff that had come in prior to a lot of these tariffs hitting. But when that new batch of stuff comes in, there's going to be an increase that's going to hit the shelves. So that's why they're telling you to stock up now, because
Yep.
you really want to buy it now before the new batch of stuff comes in from Nicaragua. Because it's only gonna go up, and you've already seen a couple of brands that put out posting on there that when they get their shipment in January, that there's going to be a price increase to the retail shops on their wholesale pricing. So yeah, and then that increases the price at the shop.
Yep.
And it doesn't help somebody like you, Johnny, who lives in California, where you already have an exorbitant tax on that, and now you're going to add in a price increase on top of that, plus the increase that California wholesalers are paying with that stupid law they just passed.
And I think that's like they got to register the cigars.
Yeah, the registration fee. That's $1,000 right there.
Like that's
and it's just not $1,000 on everything you have. It's $1,000 per cigar. So that right here, that would be $3,000 GJ would have to shell out to register just those 3 cigars, which is why a lot of brands which is why the smaller brands have pulled out, and you're only seeing the bigger brands staying in California because they can absorb that kind of costs, those taxes or fees, whereas smaller brands can't. And with a brand that I had on a couple weeks ago out there, it's like, look, I only have 2 shops in California, and to me it's just not worth it to pay that fee for 2 shops.
Nope.
If I had 10 shops, that would probably be something I would want to do, but for 2 shops, I'm just going to pull out of California.
Oh yeah, it affects everybody across the board.
What's your go-to place to shop online? Well, for MtOlympis Cigars, you can always go to MtOlympusCigars.com, or you can always go to BlackBoxCigarClub.com and then use that promo code 505review and save 15% off of your order. If you want to pick up some amazing MtOlympis cigars. Just 2 places there where you can find these delicious, delicious treats here from DJ.
Yeah, I usually try to get the orders out same day.
Yeah. Johnny, that's a hard question. I tend to buy from my preferred retail partners just because I have those relationships with them on that. But also, I will also buy direct from manufacturers like DJ, because I want to support the businesses, and instead of trying to sort through 1,000 websites to find, where to buy this, I know I can get it direct from the source. A lot of brands won't sell direct because they don't want to undercut their retail partners, but when you don't have a lot of retail partners, you're not really undercutting anybody. You may be getting a slightly better deal, but not much from what you pay at a brick and mortar. Oh, and you're not paying tax either, so that's a bonus.
True.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it, Johnny. There's just really, that's your preference out there, and a new law going into California is they're trying to ban online tobacco sales. So you want to get on that, man. You want to make sure that doesn't pass, because for guys like you, it's becoming unaffordable to be a cigar smoker in California. And if you take out really the one thing that you can actually pick up cigars at a reasonable price, it's going to end a lot of smokers' dreams and hopes, because now you're kind of out of the loop.
Yeah, it's crazy when OG and I met up
and he bought some cigars. He was basically stocking up because he's like, man, it's like 3 times the amount.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I was like, what? He's like, yeah.
Yeah. And, and there's a big difference for me. Look, I live right on the border of Colorado and Wyoming, and Colorado has a 60% tax on cigars, and Wyoming has a 30 cents per cigar tax. Big difference. That a cigar that costs $10 in Wyoming, costs 16 in Colorado. So,
Fuck
yeah.
Yeah, that's an incentive to go drive somewhere.
Yeah, I live right, but on the downside of that is I really don't have any lounges or places I can hang out around here. So if I want to go hang out in a lounge, I've got to go down to Colorado. So now I got to pay the Colorado pricing on that. But so you kind of got to weigh everything,
right?
It's only going to get worse in a lot of states, and in some states, that's why you see a big rise in brands coming out of like Texas, because it's a business friendly state, it's a tax friendly state, and it's a tobacco friendly state. So you're seeing a lot of brands really being successful because they've got the backing of the state to help them out. Just like with the Dallas Smoke Fest. The city of Dallas got behind what they're doing. You don't hear government agencies out there promoting, going, hey, come hang out at a tobacco event. But they got the city of Dallas to go, yeah, man, these guys are promoting the city and promoting business in the city. And they promoted it with them.
And they're bringing in business. And it's not just they're bringing in tobacco business, they're bringing in alcohol sales, food sales from local vendors and restaurants, clothing. Like it brings in so much revenue, and Dallas knew that.
Yeah, and it's there. And then you have a 1 penny tax on cigars in Texas. So, it makes things affordable out there to go. So it's one of those reasons, it's one of those reasons where, same thing with Florida. A lot of tobacco are incorporated in Florida because why? It's a tobacco state. They promote tobacco and they have a 0 tax on cigars. So, that you have these business friendly states, California and Illinois and New York.
They are not.
They are not. Minnesota doesn't allow you to spend more than 15 minutes in a cigar shop. You have to get in and get out. You can't hang out and talk with people and enjoy a cigar with your buddy. You just got to go in, buy, and leave.
Wow. Well, that sucks.
So, it's only going to get worse for a lot of those states, and other states are going to pick up the slack that those states are losing out on.
Yep. So, they're just going to travel.
Yep. People are just going to move. They're going to travel. They're going to go where they can be business friendly, where they can create a business and have sustainability out there, And you're coming up on that point now where brands either make it or fall apart. They're at that kind of 3-year mark. Yeah. You can make it past that, then you have that stability and that longevity, and unless something major happens or you choose to walk away, you've kind of now cemented your brand out there once you kind of hit that mark.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're coming up where we're gonna be going into our 3rd year, so yeah.
My man DJ, thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight, man. I appreciate you taking the time and having you on and showcasing your amazing brand with us all. And Remind everybody, I got links to everything out there so you can connect with Mount Olympus or buy Mount Olympis cigars. I got direct links down in the description. It'll take you right there. You can't lose. I made it simple for everybody.
Hey man, thanks for having me on, brother. It's been a pleasure.
Anything you'd like to promote before we end out the show tonight?
Well, I think we already talked about, promoting cigars. We'll also be like, hey, go to the link in my bio. There's another brother on Instagram, Brother Skuro. Go to his link. We have merch. He just came out, Beautiful Smoker. It's on Spotify. Good brother. We're doing a lot of collabs here in the future. So definitely look out for myself, Brother Skuro, So Divine Leaf, and Steel City.
Excellent. And next week, the last show of the year. I know you're all sad. You'll just have to deal without seeing this face for a month after next week. But Maurice Mears from JM Patriarch will be the guest. So looking forward to catching back up with my man, another fellow New Mexican out there, with a great cigar as well. DJ, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Much love, brother.
Everybody, thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. Chat, as always, y'all crushed it. Appreciate all of you hanging out. And I will see y'all next week. Take care. Be safe out there. Don't do anything that DJ and I wouldn't do, because we're sweet and innocent boys. And we'll catch y'all later, everybody. Peace out. Oh, no.
Can you close it?
I'm trying to shut the link. It won't let me close the link.
They're like, nah, we're trying to have some more cigar fun.
Yeah, we're trying to have more fun. They won't stop. I hit the stop button. It won't stop the stream. All right, everybody. I'm going to manually close the stream out. So, bye.